Our first episode today is going to be all about introducing us, what service means to us, and what exactly we do as AmeriCorps Vistas serving in the state of Colorado.
The material and information presented here is provided by lived experience youth and for general information purposes only. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are of the guests of our podcast own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Youth Move.
Hey everyone, we're Youth Move Colorado and we're making a podcast.
We're going to be talking about all things related to youth, and this is going to be our unfiltered, organic conversations. A lot of us are meeting here in person for the first time, so I guess we'll introduce ourselves. I am Julia. I am an AmeriCorps Vista with Youth Move Colorado. We are a statewide youth-run organization with a Vista program, and we're on our way to becoming our very own youth-run nonprofit. So I am serving at a nonprofit called True North Young Adult Services in Boulder, and I can pass it on to Lizzie.
I am Lizzie. I'm a Youth Move Colorado Vista through AmeriCorps, and I am serving at Shiloh House, which is a nonprofit, and they serve a whole bunch of counties in Colorado. And I'll pass it to Ray.
Hi, I'm Ray. I don't even want to say stationed, because if I say stationed, it makes me sound like I'm in the military. I'm sorry, but like that's how I say it in my head. But I am serving in the thank you, man. Serving in the place in Colorado Springs, Colorado. It is the place outreach, to be more specific. And I'm going to pass it to Savannah.
Hello, my name is Savannah. I am a Youth Move Colorado AmeriCorps Vista together in Boulder, and we are a wraparound transitional living housing space with things with like residents get their own apartment, and then we help them through the transitional living. And I pass to Carmen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Carmen. I am the Youth Move Colorado Youth Programs Coordinator for YHDP, and I just finished up my service as an AmeriCorps Vista.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Ben.
Hi, Ben.
My name is Ben, and I'm a Youth Move fellow stationed at El Paso County, Colorado Springs. I used to be a Vista and serve at the place, also with Mrs. Briggs here. And yeah, I think that's all at the moment.
So here's the deal, you guys. We are a brand new podcast. And the thing is that we don't have a name picked yet. So we have a list of 5 or maybe 6 names, I can't remember, of what we can do to have our name be created. So we have a choice of Gen Z Conversations, Uncrypted Talks, Gen Z Minds, Outside the Box, or Talks Outside the Box. And if you guys are feeling any type of way about the type of names that we have, you can also give us suggestions, but these are the ones that we have. Pick one out, give us suggestions, and let us know.
Pick Gen Z Minds.
Talks outside the box.
Talks outside the box.
Yeah.
I like that.
I feel like are we going through these questions now?
Yeah.
Shall we do something
Some that we don't know about.
many people know about ourselves?
Okay.
Wow, what's something no one knows about you, Savannah?
I am basically an adrenaline junkie. So I like heights, I like going like cliff diving, I like roller coasters, I like all the stuff like underneath the sun outdoors and semi-dangerous but not life-threatening. And then, whoever else wants to go.
I'll say I am literally an extreme workout type of person. I love the incline. I love running up mountains. Like I like the David Goggins it for those who know who David Goggins is.
Yeah,
So that's one of my heroes.
He's inspirational.
I love video games. And I feel like that's not something that a lot of people would expect. People are shocked when I'm like, oh, I love, like, Zelda is my all-time favorite game.
On Game Boy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the best one.
Game Boy Zelda.
Exactly.
Yeah. I lost my mind when the new one just came out.
Yes.
But yeah, who's next?
I like to sing a lot and I write. And it's funny because y'all are looking at me like, what? You sing? As much as I talk, I sing more than I talk. And I kind of keep it to myself because I'm the type of person that's like, hey, I want to do karaoke, which I'm trying to suggest at the place where I'm serving. They're like, oh, that'd be so fun. And I'm like, I would never, because I would absolutely adore having the fact of doing, like, singing out loud, but I've always done it in the background of choirs and things of that sort. So
something crazy or something people don't know about me is when I was 13 years old, I was at a group home facility and I got to sing for the mayor's wife.
oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, I was really good back then, and then now it's like, nah. But yeah, it was, and I met the governor, and I babysat Peyton Manning's kids.
What? Dude,
That's so cool.
That's really cool.
The greatest QB of all time.
I don't know. I guess one thing that comes to mind, I guess it's not really a thing, but I get a lot of pleasure out of getting really good at things and then, like, just totally dropping off with them. Like, I love to get really, really good and get to the peak, and then I'll, like, move on to something else because I get, like, really bored of that thing. So I feel like I usually do that with, like, sports or, like, outdoor stuff.
I'm like the opposite. If I don't pick something up right away, I get frustrated and I don't want to do it anymore.
Right. I'm one of those people because it's like, if I don't get it right the first time, then I'm just like, if this is horrible, I'm a horrible person. I'm never going to do this again and never touch it. I have many projects that I've started and never completely finished.
Wait, so why did you guys do AmeriCorps? I feel like I don't know that about any of you after working together for so long.
So I used to be homeless, and I was literally homeless at the place. And so the outreach supervisor, her name's Allison, she told me, like, months before we even knew this grant was even going to come, even before she even knew the Vista position was coming. She was like, I'm going to figure out a way to get you hired onto here, because I used to help out, clean up all the trash around the facility, used to clean the bathrooms and everything. And I would always work with the staff, and I would beg them to take me out on outreach and stuff as a client. And so a couple of months went by when I finally got my apartment and everything. And she was like, we got something good going. Our supervisor, Kippy, shout out to Kippy, she offered them a Vista, and I was her first pick. And I did not waste no time. Yeah. Anybody else?
I'll go for it. Because, you know, as you were done with your serving, I joined right by it on. And the thing was that I just moved back from Texas, dealing with some situations with my ex, and I needed to have a comeback with this. And for many years before that, I've always wanted to help out the community, and I couldn't figure out a way to do that. So I ended up going to school for life coaching and health coaching. Awesome. And I absolutely love it. I have all the equipment, which if you guys are ever trying to do life coaching, it costs you a pretty penny. But it's worth it. And the thing is that, like, once I started, I'm the type of person where I get a momentum and I keep going. And then when I get to a bad spot, I completely stop and forget it. So when I got here, I couldn't figure it out. And actually, shout out to my mom. She suggested the place, but then Allison was like, why don't you try being a Vista? So I was like, I don't know about that. And then overall, I just decided to just do it because I'm very impulsive and I love to, you know, just take that first shot and just go for it. So that's why I'm here now. I'm just here to do what it is that I was destined to do, you know?
So for me, I learned about the program. I don't know if I learned it through Shiloh first because I was a youth there for a while, but
because of my experience in the system, since I was 11 years old, I had this like goal that I was going to change the world. We had to start small. You know, I thought I was going to be the first president, woman president, but we didn't get there. But, you know, like, I wanted to change the system. There were so many things wrong with the system, and it's broken. And I was like, I need to do more. So I wanted to become a social worker. And I went to school to be a social worker. Then life happened. I had a baby. And it wasn't realistic to, I was just going, like, I couldn't do anything. And finally I was offered this opportunity. I think Kippy was the one that told me about it, and Amy. And I was like, oh, I can do this and be a mom at the same time? Okay, let's do it. And it was preparing me for what I want to do with my career.
Me too.
Yeah. It seems like a generalized thing of like we want to do something really well with the community, and it's just like we see the problems, which is why I appreciate that AmeriCorps is so youth-based, because it's just like we're the start of the foundation of changes and things of that sort. And so when you start with the youth, it starts to get better with that situation. And it's like, I might throw shade a little bit with the older adults, but it's one of those things where they're just like stuck in their ways and it's not going to change. It's never going to change for anybody. And so it's just like, once they're stuck in their ways, it's never going to flip, none of that. So it's just like, if you start with the youth, it'll kind of grow with them. Mm-hmm. And they can always adjust it and things of that sort. And if you involve more youth, things will change, and, you know, generations are different. So if we start with the youth, then things will get a lot better reputation.
And making sure they feel like they have a say in whatever they're doing.
Exactly. Having voice.
And that's what I love about our peer support idea is like, who better to talk to other young people about the things that they're going through than like other young people.
Right.
Which is why this podcast is so cool also, because it's like peer support in like podcast form.
Right.
So like anyone can listen to this.
Yeah. Why did you become a Vista?
Good question. Well, like you, I always wanted to, not always, but I wanted to go into social work. I definitely want to be working with youth and families. My childhood was really turbulent because of mental illness in like my whole family. So that's just something that I've always been really, passionate about. So yeah.
Well, I became an AmeriCorps Vista because I was homeless for 8 or 9 years before I got housing. And I went to Urban Peak in the drop-in center. They transferred me to Together, which is transitional living. I lived there for 3 years, and my supervisor that I have now there offered me this job because she said I was excelling in like groups that I went to there, and I loved helping out people. And even the 3 years I stayed there, I trained and got 3 certifications in peer support while COVID and everything was going on. So I was just really focusing on myself at that time to give back to the community that helped me so much before.
So is that what like your service means to you?
Yeah, like just giving back and, you know, just making sure like the future is set up for a brighter, you know, outlook for the youth coming up now, because I don't want people to go through the same thing that I went through.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Carmen?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I feel like I joined because I feel like first and foremost, I was like pretty curious about the program. I moved here from Oregon for my service. So I was like definitely curious about just like what it means to be a young person in Colorado specifically. I don't know. I guess I'm also like pretty passionate about just working with young people and like, I just feel like they're pretty resilient and feel like they have a lot that we can learn from kind of thing. I always thought I was like a very knowledgeable young person growing up, and I just always wanted to be listened to, and that was like a thing that didn't really happen very much.
Yeah.
So like to be able to like be the one that like is like the listener feels really good.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Leading forth with what does our service mean to you, with Vista members, we are working for 365 days, which is a whole year. And basically the question that I'm going to lead with this is, why did you guys dedicate an entire year of becoming a Vista?
I know for me, it's, I wanted to go in and make a change. I wanted to be that person that people feel safe with coming to talk to me and helping any way I can with advocacy and stuff like that.
I knew that I wanted to like make a difference like in my career, but I also knew that if I just jumped, I finished school, and I knew that if I jumped right into getting my social work degree, it would just be like so long before I could actually, so I wasn't really ready for that. So this was like the best option for me to just jump right in and
like a stepping stone.
Yeah, exactly. But like where I like an actionable step. Like I could actually interact with young people, and I could be like the person that I always wanted when I was younger, and I never really had that.
I like how you just said that.
Yeah. So like doing like my favorite part of what I do is like working with the young people at True North. So we do everything from like life skills to like if they get in a fight about dishes, like I get to actually talk about like, healthy communication and that kind of stuff.
For me, I wanted to become a Vista because I know like on my career path, this is going to help me mold into an actual professional peer support person. And my goal is to be an outreach peer support person because they don't have that anymore. They just don't. So it's a goal for me to make that position somewhere in Colorado. I don't know where, but that's like the main reason why, because I know it's going to better myself and my community at the same time.
Right. And it's giving you a sense of direction with it instead of just kind of, starting here completely, like with Julia, for example. She just got out of college, and if she just went straight into social work, it'll be one of those situations where she's getting confused, and it's like, well, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? I feel like with the VISTA program, it starts you off with, how do the kids work? How do they communicate? What's their life like? And that's where I feel like I wanted to dedicate an entire year, because I'm more of the problem solver kind of figure out type of person. I like to figure out, okay, what is the problem here? What's a solution that we can figure out? Which some of these situations with some of these kids, they don't need a solution. They need an active listener. They need somebody for you to listen to and actually being able to create rapport and a safety kind of situation. Because when I was a kid, I did not feel like I was being heard. It was frustrating because it got to a point where I was 19 where I had to yell at my mother to let her know, like, hey, there's something wrong with me and we need to figure this out, and you're not listening. You need to listen to me. So it's one of those things where if I can navigate that situation with kids dealing with like teachers or parents or any other adult where they have that advocacy to talk about what they need, I want to be there to help them. That's what I wanted to do. What about you, Carmen?
Yeah, I feel like it was like a 2-part. I feel like when I started, I was curious if like this is like the type of work I would really want to, do for a while. And I feel like it was just like a really great opportunity to like figure that out, and then I think that like partway through, I think it was oddly kind of like turned into like some sort of like healing process, I guess, because you're like hearing, at least I started hearing all these stories of like young people talking And then you naturally just start reflecting on like your upbringing and things like that. And you're like, oh wow, like, because I think growing up I thought like, what, like I'm the only one that this is happening to, kind of thing.
Right.
And then I think we all kind of naturally do that. And then to like hear like other young people like describing very similar situations, you know. And I think it just kind of adds like that fuel. It added that fuel to the fire for me of like, no, like this, like things like this are still happening.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like it was like it's been a very interesting kind of year, I guess, for me. I don't know if we're going to get into like advice, but I guess like the one thing I took from it is like just really coming into it, like not with like a very set like agenda and just kind of taking it as it goes.
Go with the flow.
Yeah, has been really, I don't know, like helpful for me.
Yeah, going with the flow with this job, that's the hard part. And I think that was the transition that I had the most difficulty with, because I used to work at places like Amazon, Walmart, things of that sort, where it's you start the job as soon as you clock in and you go do what you need to do. With this job, it's a little more like, you know, you can go talk to these people, or you can do this training, and it's I have too many options, and that was the difficult part of like starting as a Vista, because it's like you have so many avenues to go to, and you're just like, I don't know where to start, and so you kind of shut down in that first month and a half, and then once you start to finally understand everything, then you're like, okay, this makes sense, because I just joined y'all at June 5th. That's when I started, and you guys were talking about budgets, y'all were talking about meetings and everything like that, and I'm just sitting here at the Zoom like, okay, I love this, it's so fun, we're okay, I don't know what we're talking about, but I'm just gonna say yes.
I was like that when I was onboarded in April, and before that, when I was just like joining meetings, and I was just like, you know what, I'll just take notes, I'll just write stuff down that I need to know and like try to study it, and then, you know, in the meantime, just like overlook it in my free time and be like, what did this mean?
Right.
Like, but then it all comes together within a couple of months of just hearing it over and over again. And
right.
then, like, you know, I wish we could have like a glossary of all like the acronyms.
We do.
We
do.
Oh, we do?
Yeah, we have acronyms. I still have to look at it. Like,
I
all the
still,
time.
you know what? If you give me your email after this, I'll send you all the acronyms. I still have to look at it. And actually, it was funny because Kippy sent it to me. She was like, don't get overwhelmed. And I'm like, that's too late. It's too little too late, because it was, I think the first one was like BHDP. And I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm just going to close this laptop and we're going to have a good day.
No, it's such a learning journey.
Yeah.
And that comes with like having all the choices, because then you can kind of narrow down. Like, I knew that when I started, I knew that I wanted to do social work, but I didn't know if I wanted it to be like more policy, like macro kind of work, or like clinical social work.
Right.
So I kind of get to see both sides, like with what we do, which has just been awesome. And then you can kind of tailor your service to like, what am I good at? What do I want to do more of?
Right.
So
I think for me, something that's important, well, it was like, because I know you guys onboarded, I think, like one-on-one, but like Julia and I got to onboard together. And so like we'll be like in the middle of the meeting with Kippy and be like, so what does this mean? Like we'll just be like texting each other, you know, and then like I think the cool thing about this is we all have experienced some type of thing together, or have done this together. This is an experience together, even though we don't get to see each other often.
Right.
But look, I feel like I'm going to be friends with you guys for a very, very long time. So that relationship that we get to build while doing something we are passionate about.
Exactly. And that's the thing too, because based off of vibes, this is so fun. It is. And it's just like when I was told that I was going to Salida, I was like, oh, geez. Okay. So we're going to Salida talking about things. And I was just like, I've never went outside of the Springs to do anything for work. So one, I was sitting here acting like 11-year-old me like, oh my God, I get to go somewhere. And so I was like, I get to go outside and do things. And it's just like, people don't realize when you like travel outside of work, the amount of relationship and connections that you get. And it's like, I never would have expected having this job specifically, meeting people from Boulder, meeting people from Durango, because honestly, I've drove past out of Durango or went to a football game and then that was it. You know, so it's just like, I love that we have a really good connection, even though we met like all of yesterday.
Well, over the computers, we've known each other for months.
Right. But actually being physically together, it's such a really good like connection, and it just seems like it's not awkward. It's not weird. Even when we first physically met up, it wasn't awkward. It wasn't weird. It was just like, hey, what's up? Like, we haven't seen each other in so long. So I absolutely love this.
And the experiences we get to experience as a Vista.
Right.
Like, think about like being in a different service. Maybe we wouldn't have been able to do something like this. Like the nature, the walks we've gone on, the deer, like, and even it's so cool. We get to travel and like we just did I know we're not going to get into the YHDP, but being able like to help develop something that huge,
right,
and have the look on the inside of things. Like, we're not on the outside of things, like using the services that we used to. Now we're on the other side making changes, changing policies, writing grants, and all this other stuff just to help. Like,
adult
it
things.
feels awesome.
I just thought of nothing about us without us.
Exactly. And the thing is like, going further into that, it's crazy because I'm pretty sure all of us were like, look at us doing adult things. Because I would have never thought that I would be making decisions on who's going to be on a board, you know, who's going to like make the policies. I never thought in a million years that I'd be making policies. Like, it's a given, because it's just like, I didn't feel like I was confident enough to make those decisions. I always been told what to do, but now I'm big shot. I get to do that, you know? So it's just like, we as a group get to make these decisions, and it's just so cool. And I honestly cannot wait until we end up seeing what we did become a thing. I'm just like, that's the most exciting part for me.
And that's like another thing that was so appealing to me about specifically, because I went kind of backwards. I started with looking at like AmeriCorps programs in general all over the country.
Right.
So one of the things that I loved about Youth Move Colorado was like coming out of school or just like being a young person and thinking about going into like a new field is like so intimidating. So having like a cohort of young people who like Lizzie, I started at the same time as you. We're learning this together, you know?
And I think cool, like we get to have the power to, or not the power, but like the say of what we're going to do with $2.9 million to help end homeless youth.
That still blows my mind.
Crazy.
The YHDP grant.
Like, we have this huge say, and we did not.
No, can I not lie? So I go and tell everybody in my family about that. I be like, our group just got that grant. And we get to sit here and tell, I go and tell my friends, I'm like, yo, we're doing big things now.
Well, yeah, because it's like people, like, I feel like people still don't even believe me if I like talk about it, and I'm like, yeah, young people are playing a huge part in like this grant, which is from HUD, Youth HUD Demonstration Project grant, and I don't know. I just feel like it's like like a step in the right direction, you know, of just like.
And truly, I don't think youth have ever got to say how money gets spent.
No, exactly. Like, could you imagine giving, like, I'm gonna ballpark it, 14 to 16-year-olds being like, hey, here's $2.9 million. What are you going to do with it? I guarantee you it's going to be it's going to be Disneyland. It's going to be video games. It's going to be snacks.
Nothing sustainable.
No, exactly, nothing sustainable.
And that's through people who haven't gone through this before.
Yes.
Us, we're like, we're gonna do this, this, and this, and this.
Right.
And we get to approve, if I understand correctly, we get to approve who is getting this $2.9 million.
If you're giving money to a youth serving organization that's supposed to do something about youth homelessness,
You better be working
young
with
people
youth.
with lived experience should be involved in that from start.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel the thing is that when I hear big numbers like that, I automatically think of rich people, and they're always like, well, we get to decide what we're doing with that. And I don't know how many times I have like overheard on the news, they're like, oh, we have the $3.1 million and we're going to spend it on a theater. Why? What is the reason for you to be spending that much money on a theater? 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be anything extravagant. You guys are going to do it very mediocre. And the thing is, like, if you're going to have that much money, put it with a purpose. Because it's just like, you see the youth homeless, you see all of these issues, yet you are neglecting it. That's why I love the fact that we have youth and we're like, hey, this is the issue that we need and we need to fix it.
And I feel like one of the coolest parts is like the rural areas, like nobody focuses on them, but we get the chance to actually be able to invest some money, invest the time in the rural areas that don't have youth homeless centers, that don't have like group homes and stuff like that don't even focus on the youth that's actually have like struggling with opioid addiction, struggling with different like depression and stuff like that. Like we actually get to put a magnifying glass on them with some of this money now. So I feel like that's one of the coolest things that we get to do with this type of
Think about the people that like brought us down and told us we weren't going to be able to do anything with our lives.
Yeah.
Like, look at us.
And that's the thing that I'm sitting here thinking about daily, because actually, when I was a kid, I was a troubled kid, believe it or not. Don't look like it. But it's just like, they would always tell me, Ray, you always are doing too much. You are very expressive and very passionate, and you don't do anything with it. And so I was like, you're right. But the thing is that now I can see myself doing this, and all the teachers that I'm just like, I'm doing something. Look at me. And it's just like, also in the same breath, we can also navigate that situation where it's not about showing everybody else, the naysayers and things of that sort, about what we're doing. It's more about like, what can we do for ourselves that are just like, yes, I love this, we can do this. And it's not a proving point of, I'm doing better than you, haha.
So what's everyone thinking after their service year? I know, big question, but
I just started.
true. I'm almost at the end, so is Lizzie.
Yeah. I think, well, I don't think, I know if I'm given the opportunity, I'm going to use my skills and resources doing the Vista as again, but hope like through maybe a different site that may want to experience the Vista.
Yeah.
For me, it's college.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Like,
where are you going for college for?
CSU. I'm going to CSU, but I'm going one for services, being able to work with youth. And the main goal is so I can work with young men that are in juvenile justice.
Absolutely.
So I can mentor them. Like that's my end goal through this whole rap. And then everything else is like, I don't know. And truthfully, the Vista leader position is still on. So anybody that want to sign up. But
Exactly.
But if you take too long now, your boy's gonna take it. So that's one thing. So
This is actually a recruitment.
Join us.
Experience stuff.
Yeah, it's so fun. After my service, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I actually want to do this again, or maybe I don't know, because the thing is that I've always wanted to start my own nonprofit, and actually, since they are starting their own nonprofit, I kind of just want to bounce off of that, because for years, me and my mother have always wanted to make a nonprofit for kids of color and things of that sort, because they are very often neglected and they are very pushed to the side with these type of situations, and it's just riddled off as behavioral issues, or that's just how they are, and it's not okay. And it's just like, what can we do to make that situation a little better? So it's just like, I would love to do something with that, but now that we have things discussing about nonprofits and things of that sort, I can finally be a part of a dream that me and my mom had, and I'm just really excited about it.
And you have people who've experienced it with you if you need
Exactly.
employees.
We got y'all. I would gladly do it. I'll be calling y'all like, ring, we doing it.
I know after my year of service, I am thinking about serving again, but I'm also going to look for like, you know, a steady, just peer support specialist job. Like it could be working with youth. It could be working with just like MHP, mental health partners in Boulder. I'm going to check that out like after my year of service. Also Together said that they would probably offer me a job, but I'm not too sure. Like, I don't know if I would want to stay there or I would want to go somewhere else. So everything's kind of just up in the air for me right now since it's kind of new to me.
And you're like, what, 2-3 months into your service now?
Yeah. So I'm going to be thinking about it, you know, for the rest of this year. And like, you know, whatever happens, we'll probably decide my outcome after, you know, like next April.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I feel like, well, I just kind of started a new position, but I feel like long-term kind of goals for me, I guess one reason I took this new position is I'm really interested in like moving towards like policy change at like the legislative level, and like advocacy work. And I feel like this new position taps into that a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going, but yeah.
What about you, Julia?
Yeah, let's see what you got going on.
Great question, Lizzie. I'll tell you.
I'm gonna cry.
I am really excited. I've already started looking at schools and applying to grad school. So I'm going to get my master's in social work. I'm going for clinical social work with a concentration in youth and families.
Awesome. What school are you trying to go to?
Well, I'm actually from New York originally. I'm a Colorado transplant, but I am still a legal resident in New York, so I've got to get that in-state tuition, so I will be leaving. So I'm looking right now at NYU.
Okay.
They hand out scholarships like candy for National Service alumni. And then Hunter College, which is, it's a city university of New York. So it's in Manhattan.
Nice.
Well, we'll be all visiting you.
Right.
Yeah,
Coming, we'll be in the big house.
Right.
I haven't been to New York.
I haven't either.
Me
And
neither.
I've heard so many
You
things.
got a place to stay.
First
I'm bringing
off-
my pull-out couch.
Nice.
Will it fit 1, 2, 3, 5 of us?
Look,
Summer party.
One part.
Sleepover.
Right.
oh,
So that was the first episode of our very first season of our
I'm
first
liking it.
podcast ever.
Which?
Come back and listen to us
Woo!
next time.
Is that a little chaotic or no?